The Daily Jaws 50th Anniversary interview series is a collection of amazing conversations exploring the legacy of Steven Spielberg's screen adaptation of Jaws through the eyes of the fans. We'll be talking to famous fans, shark experts, people whose lives have been changed by the movie, and those that were there that helped to make the film. We'll also be telling you about two amazing organisations that are very close to our hearts. Anyway, that's enough from me. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show.
We have these delicate bodies, and if we're met by something with big teeth that still exists in the modern world, unlike dinosaurs, then what's that like? You know, you can't imagine it without that speech. There's a depth, there's a broadening of the story that occurs. You know, sometimes in movies, the world gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and you feel like there's a contraction going on. It's like, this isn't much fun. Other movies, they start off, and it seems to be in a small little world that you can sort of understand and embrace, and then it kind of goes like this, and opens up, and you're like, ooh, this is about something, you know?
Not like going down to the pond, chasing bluegills or tommy cod. This shark, swallow you whole, shaking, tenderizing. Down you go.
Hey guys, it's Ross over at the Daily Jaws with another exclusive 50th anniversary interview. Today's guest is a man of 1,000 voices, but we're very lucky to have him here on the show because today, in his own voice, he's going to be telling us about his love for Jaws. It gives me great pleasure to welcome one of the world's greatest voice artists, Mr. Jim Meskimen, to the show. Jim, welcome.
Thank you, Cousin Ross. My middle name is Ross, and my mother, of course, is Marion Ross, who was on Happy Days. We're all in the Ross clan together.
Oh, God, the world of Ross. Oh, my word. Well, you learn something new every day. My word.
In fact, in another strange sidelight and coincidence, I was on an episode of Happy Days that featured a shark.
Tell me more.
The shark episode. I'm a young man on the beach saying, hey, they got a shark out there. They got it penned up until Marineland can come and pick it up. It was my first TV job.
My words. Okay, we're going to have to talk about Jaws, and we will come to Jaws, but tell me a bit more about that experience working with Happy Days.
Oh, well, you know, my mom was part of this great cast, and that slowly built into being a real juggernaut in the 70s and into the 80s. It was on for 11 seasons and changed our lives. And gosh, I was just a little fellow when it started and in college when it ended. So I got to know Ron Howard and all those guys and go to the set a lot and go to the show and watch them tape. And in my recollection of getting that job of being in that episode that became an iconic, famous episode was, I don't remember auditioning for it. So I think it's the fragrance of nepotism is quite strong. And I think my mother must have got me the part. But I worked on the beach a couple of days in California up the road. They're in an area called Paradise Cove, which has probably now been rather decimated by the recent fires, unfortunately. But it was a great couple of days, and it's just funny that it turned out, of all the episodes that I happened to be able to be a part of, it's one that is referenced, I think, on a daily basis, at least here in the States. Because Jump the Shark has come to mean some enterprise has gone into taking extraordinary and bizarre measures to maintain its relevancy. And even though that was only season 5 of Happy Days, actually, not season 8, 9, 10, or 11, but it was definitely, when you look at it now, it's like a very strange proposition that, well, yeah, Fonzie, we'll get Fonzie in the ocean, and then there'll be a shark, and he's got a water ski over it. Wow.
It's almost like a roaring shark following a family to the Bahamas out for revenge. It's kind of up there with that, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. It's in the suspension of disbelief is turned up to 11.
It certainly is. Well, we will come on to the sequels, obviously, and a lot of other things. But let's talk about the original movie. I mean, it's 50 years since the original film has come out, so it's making me feel very old. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
When did you first see Jaws, and what do you remember about that experience?
I saw it within the first week of its release, for sure, and it was quite a phenomenon. And it was the first time I remember people keeping track of the grosses of a movie as if it was a sporting event. And in L.A. anyway, perhaps it had been going on earlier, but certainly not in the public's consciousness, and not in the consciousness of the 15-year-old boy that I was. There were not a lot of 15-year-olds talking about, hey, did you see what the box office was on your favorite movie last week? Like, nobody gave a crap about it. So I remember going to a theater, and yeah, we were all impressed with the fact that it was making $1 million a day. It was like, how is this possible? This is just seismic. And I remember going to the theater with a bunch of people, my mom, my sister, a lot of people that I'd just gone on a tour around the United States with a bunch of high school students on a bus. And a bunch of us, I think, and people from the neighborhood, maybe, I don't know. It was a big crowd of us that went, and we all knew each other. And we were, of course, electrified by the movie. Yeah. The impact of that movie is just hard to really communicate today. Just how it drew you in effectively, and how you were just absolutely on the edge of your seat the whole movie, and in a beautifully balanced way. I mean, now you can look at it and say, oh, look how artful this is, and look at the way that the script lays out, and look at the genius of not being able to see the shark for some amount of time and having to kind of create it in your mind, and then you're just so invested in it, and when it finally comes, you're like, but I do remember that my mother was seated next to like a smaller, younger girl than I, and maybe it was a friend of my sister's or something. Anyway, I don't remember who this girl was. But this girl had been grabbing my mother's arm with such intensity that after the movie, my mom was like, "Gah!" Her like fingernail marks, and like seriously damaged by this little girl who was just like holding on for dear life like a barnacle onto a wharf. Of course, I experienced what I think a lot of people did, of like, it was the summer. So, you blithely go to the beach, let's go to the beach. And then you're swimming around in the water and you go, I have to get out of the water. I'm terrified because I cannot see. And my mind is still filling in from the movie. It's like the movie set in motion, a kind of a mental, mechanical effect where your expectations were extremely high that any second now a shark was going to appear out of the deep murky blue, and that would be it for you. So I felt that summer especially, I think I'll just stay close to shore. And, didn't go out in the water. The other thing that I remember, because it is 75, there are no, or very few VCRs. There is no easy way to watch your favorite scene again. And we had, favorite scenes. I mean, Quint's opening speech, his Indianapolis speech, the various, catastrophic events that happened in the movie are all ones you're like, what did I just see? I need to see it again. Part of that is like being a kid and having an endless appetite for repetition of something interesting. But then there's also kind of, you're trying to process what you just been through. And it would be like trying to recall some car accident you were in. You're like, what the hell happened? The guy came out of nowhere. What did he do? And I wish I had a camera. So in 1975, you don't have, your option is buy another ticket, which is probably one of the factors behind its enormous financial success. Those people like going, what was that? Let's go in and watch it again. And I didn't have the wherewithal to just, go in and see this movie whenever I wanted. Movies were $3 or something. See a movie. I didn't have that kind of money. But so in talking to my friends, I had a friend named David DeRazio who I sat next to, and our whole friendship was really predicated on our obsession with Jaws and with Quint. And we sat together in a biology class for which neither of us had any appetite, very close at a table together in the front row in front of this very boring teacher. And we would mumble utterances from Quint to one another to try to make each other crack up in front of the teacher. And we did that, I think, for about 10 weeks. And so we were always on the prowl for, what is he saying in that speech? What are the words? Because there's no Google. Like today, I was interested in the speech, so I Googled it. It's like, yeah, no problem. There's 100,000 places you can find those speeches. But back then, no, you got to go see the movie again and take notes, and you're still not sure. Bluegill and Tommy Cott, what is he saying? Isle of Tinian Delay, like, what is it? So all those things were so precious, and when we couldn't remember exactly, we would just sort of fill in something that would be like a placeholder for what the actual words were. But man, we sat next to each other and we go, Mr. Hooper, Mr. Hooper. We would kind of just, like ventriloquists trying to make each other laugh.
Oh, that's such.
It helped pass the time a lot. And then I remember also, when you contacted me, I was like, oh my God, I dressed up as Quint for Halloween that year. I tried my best to grow a 15-year-old mustache, and sideburns, and, used mascara to kind of bring it out a little bit more. And
yeah.
I got myself an army jacket, and the hat and everything. And there's something too about Robert Shaw's just undeniable attractive masculinity and character that was so delicious. And why he would have, had he lived, he would have had a very thriving and healthy career for the rest of his life, because there was something just that time of his life, that kind of role. It was just a perfect storm of, I thought, just very wonderful characteristics that you could enjoy. And as a young boy, you're like, gosh, I'd like to grow up being a sexy old guy like him. I just think that would be his knees, even if I didn't express it that way. I mean, that was the thing. It was just like, well, look at this guy. He's just like, he's the best. And so when he gets eaten, spoiler alert, he gets eaten. It has a lot of impact, right? Because he is the guy to be in that movie.
Yeah.
So those are some thoughts.
It's amazing to hear this, because again, many of the guests that I've spoken to in the series weren't able to see Jaws in '75, but I think what you've explained there has really captured the excitement and the spirit and the experience of probably what it was like to see something like that, not just actually being in the movie, but the build up to it, just keeping track of the box office, for example. It was the first time it was really kind of ever done. And Jaws made $100 million in 38 days, which is just crazy.
Is that right?
That's
Globally?
correct.
I remember it making $1 million a day, and people just losing their shit completely, because it's an ungodly amount of money. So it might have taken a little longer to make the 138, but it obviously it made its money back. And and then now over the years too, we have become acquainted with the history of it, the making of it, the conflicts, the problems, and the problem solving. And I went back a few years later. They usually show it in the seaside community where we often vacation in the summertime, in Cardiff by the Sea, California, which is near San Diego. It's northern San Diego. And there's an old theater there that was owned by Mary Pickford, built by Mary Pickford in the 20s, which has not been lovingly restored. It's kind of creaky and old and drafty, but it's near the sea, and they will play Jaws. And I went with my family again, not my mom this time, but my sister and her kids. And a couple of things were notable. One, my young nephew Hap, who was, I think, about 9. They were like, his folks, my sister, were like, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want to see this happen? Are you sure you're not going to be too scared?" And he's like, "No, absolutely, no, I'm good. No, I want it. Yeah." And the lights went out, and he went, "I have to get out of here. It's too scary." It's like, the movie hasn't started yet, Hap. "It's too scary. I have to go." So I took him out in the lobby, and eventually got him home and stuff. But then when I finally went back in myself and got to see, I missed the beginning of it because it happened. But I watched the movie, and knowing what I know now about the various struggles, and knowing what I know now, having been in movies, how difficult they are in general, let alone filming on the water. And all the changes in light and the changes in environment. And you just the time factor thrown in, like, oh, this sequence that's looks like it's about 5 minutes long took 3 weeks.
Yeah.
How do you make that all cling together? Watching it, I was just flabbergasted at how they don't have any kind of post-production, really digital adjustments where they can go. I mean, they must have had some way to control color, temperature, or little things, contrast, but very minimal. It is just a triumph of filmmaking because that narrative just purrs along, and you're not interrupted at any time by like, that's funny. Why are those waves cresting now? And was that morning? I thought it was evening. None of that happens, and it just purrs along great, tells the story. And even though you've seen it, like in my case, I must have seen it at least, I don't know, 15 times. You're engaged. You're in it, and you have the sensations that you're supposed to have.
Yeah. It's an incredible feat, and it is a movie that was plagued with production problems and technical problems. And just for a moment, Jim, I am actually having a slight technical problem myself. Bear with me just one second. I'll be right back in one moment.
Jeffrey Kramer, he was there.
Jim,
hey,
how are you?
I'm good, Jeffrey. How are you?
I'm good. I knew your mom.
Where did you know Mom from, Jeff?
I played the leader of Fonzie's old gang, Lefty, on the Falcons. And my dearest, oldest friend, who I'll bet you know, was Gary's go-to guy for years, Marty Nadler.
Marty Nadler. I actually do an
Nadler?
impression. I'm probably the only person in America who does an impression of Marty Nadler.
Marty.
Marty Nadler. So he's your good pal, huh?
Oh,
well, I haven't seen Marty
in
in years.
college together. We met as freshmen, and we've been best friends ever since. I love that you love this movie, too. I mean, how old were you when you saw it?
I think 15.
Oh, yeah. See, that's old enough. People come in with 3- and 4-year-olds, and I said, they've never seen it. They go, oh, yeah, many times. I said, I should call social services on you. I mean, it was terrible.
I have a story. Okay, so when my daughter was 6.
Oh, my gosh.
She was left in my care with 2 of her friends.
What happened, Jim?
And I put on Jaws. And I think it was the Ben Gardner's boat, Big Scare.
Oh, my God.
And I just kind of sat back. I'm such a devil. Now that I think about it, I can't believe I did this.
God.
And they're all sitting on the carpeting in front of the TV.
Yeah.
And at least it wasn't one of these big plasma screen TVs like we have today. Yeah. It was a crappy vacuum tube.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm mitigating my guilt a little bit here. And I watched their bottoms, right? And that scene came on, and they all went, "What?"
Well, I get it.
They went up in the air like ping pong balls.
We used to know an usher in Century City in the old days, and he'd let us in at night when Ben Gardner, we time it. We knew exactly when Ben Gardner said, the entire audience leans back. It was some moment. And, Steven said, we needed an extra scare. And he shot that little insert in Vernifield swimming pool. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it's legendary. It's legendary. It's like taking the extra care. This isn't quite right. It's a good scare. It's not a great scare.
Yeah.
And they had made that adjustment. And man, even though I know it's coming, I still get scared.
But I have such respect for your mom. And I just wanted to say hello because I have respect for you. You've had a great career. But you cover all the bases. You just do everything.
Oh, it's incredible what Jim could do. Trust me.
Oh, you're very kind.
It's very cool.
Amazing.
Well, Jeffrey, it's nice to meet you. We should talk some more.
Oh, I would love it. Jim, thank you for letting me barge in on your Zoom.
Great. Thanks a lot for popping in.
You bet.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Take care, bud. Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, it's Ross. I hope you're enjoying this week's episode. Bruce and I just wanted to take a moment to tell you about a couple of the organisations that we've been working with and also some of the new products you can find in our store. Minorities in Shark Sciences, or MISS for short. a non-profit founded in 2020 that champions diversity in shark, ray and marine sciences. MISC creates equitable opportunities for historically underrepresented communities through hands-on programs and believes that diverse scientists bring diverse ideas, driving the innovation essential for ocean conservation. Representation matters, and MISC is making sure the next generation sees a place for themselves in marine biology. Learn more and support their mission at missalesmo.org. The mission of the Tourette Association of America is to provide help and hope to those affected by Tourette syndrome, tic disorders, and associated conditions through awareness, research, and support. It's the only national organisation serving the community and works to raise awareness, advance research, and provide ongoing support to patients and families impacted by Tourette syndrome and tic disorders. To this end, the Tourette Association of America directs a network of 31 chapters, 83 support groups, and recognises 18 centres of excellence across the country. It's a non-profit organisation and is extremely close to the heart of not just Jeffrey Kramer, but also his family. The Daily Jaws store is home to some of the world's most exciting Jaws products, including screen-accurate barrels and tanks, a chalkboard shark shadow caster, a yellow barrel koozie, an orca transom and 3 yellow barrel keychains, and much more. Visit store.thedailyjaws.com. For non-US orders, please email orders@thedailyjaws.com. Thanks for listening. Now back to the show.
Oh, that's mischief there, Ross. That's mischief.
Well, we're trying to obviously explore the love of Jaws through people's memories and experiences of the movie, but also if there's a chance for them to connect with someone who was actually involved in the movie, we're trying to make that happen too. And when I told Jeffrey that you were coming on, he was like, I really need to meet Jim, because obviously you knew your mum and everything else. So I'm so glad that we were able to make that happen. The next question, I think I already know the answer, but who is your favourite character?
Well, it's a wonderful balance because you need Quint, you need Brody, and you need Hooper. They're a wonderful. That's a great structure to have a 3-character triangle that isn't a romantic triangle, obviously, unless you read a lot into it. And so it's hard to choose because they're all. We love Brody because of Quint to some degree, and we love Hooper because of Quint, and we love Quint because of Brody, and they all kind of supplement one another. But Quint is he's the shit. He's like I said, there's something so attractive and old school and masculine and just distinct about his character. He's the no-nonsense guy. He's the guy who is going to create the big effect. He is going to go and handle the problem of the movie. And you have to believe that. You have to believe that he is going to do that, and that he's just cussed enough to do it, and just ballsy enough to do it. And he may get killed doing it, but he's going to do it, and we get to watch. So that those are hard boots, literally, to fill. I know Sterling Hayden was like the original choice.
That's right. Yeah.
Just don't think it really would have been the same movie because Sterling Hayden does not have that kind of, I would say, sexiness. There's some kind of wonderful, roguish, go to hell thing that Robert Shaw embodied. It seemed to be him to a great degree. Whether it was or not, I can't say, but I don't know, just a very indelible kind of character that you just cannot really imagine other people playing that role.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the casting in Jaws, and it's not just the 3 leads. I think everybody is perfectly cast, whether it's the supporting characters, the town folks, whoever it is, everyone is perfect. But those 3 leads are just, as you say, they're that perfect triangle. They play off each other and interconnect with each other so well. And Robert Shaw, I mean, it was very fortuitous that he was cast for a lot of reasons. And to your point, I think, other actors that were in the field, so or sort of in the running for that, so Sterling Hayden, Lee Marvin, Again, obviously, it wouldn't have been the same. But the thing is, with Robert Shaw, he was able to absorb the locals. He was really able to take on board Steven Spielberg's direction. So he spent a lot of time with Craig Kingsbury, for example, or Frank Mundus, or Lynn Murphy, the locals and the people that were shark hunters and they were sort of indirectly informing the character. But then also, Robert Shaw was a really gifted writer, and we wouldn't have got the Indianapolis speech in the way that we got it. So
Right.
when I've talked about Jaws in the past, obviously everyone when they talk about the production and the shark going wrong and boats sinking and all this kind of stuff, which is legendary, a lot of the right things went right too. So
Yeah,
I think that
100%.
it's a bit of a miracle that the movie got made, but also there was a lot of luck and a lot of really smart choices being made very early on to make sure that we did get a fantastic movie. Which brings me to my next question. So Jaws is 2 hours, 4 minutes of cinematic perfection. Which is your favorite moment in Jaws?
Oh man, it all a lot of it as there's the play that's running or has been running, the Shark is Broken, which I haven't seen, but I've read the play. My sister, who's also in show business and who is like me, she's 3 years younger than I am. So when we saw Jaws, she was even more impressionable, I think, or slightly more. And she and I continue, 50 years later, to reference Jaws, to talk about Jaws, to share thoughts about Jaws. And she bought me that copy of the play, so I read it. And really everything there is a major kind of progression of the narrative to that speech that is, you can't imagine it without that speech. There's a depth, there's a broadening of the story that occurs. Sometimes in movies, the world gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and you feel like there's a contraction going on. It's like, this isn't much fun. Other movies, they start off, and it seems to be in a small little world that you can sort of understand and embrace, and then it kind of goes like this and opens up, and you're like, ooh, this is about something, And I think the Indianapolis speech probably serves to achieve that. And then just we know that it's the second night of trying to do this speech now, but that performance is just fantastic. It's just a fantastic performance, and a great piece of writing, which Shaw had quite a bit to do with, apparently, and beautifully edited. Very very much just a kind of a. It's not a oneer, I think. I think they dodge back to show reaction shots every now and then, but it's mostly we get to just be there with Quint in that boat. And it's like any time where you find yourself in a room with someone who has a great story to tell. Like I was in Apollo 13 with Ed Harris and many other people. And one day all of us in the cast, we were sort of becalmed. There was a technical problem that had to be fixed. It was going to take some time, and all the actors in this small set were kind of cooling our heels and don't leave the set though, because we're going to get going. All right, but we're just sitting around. So Ed Harris, I forget how it started, but he told the story about how he almost died on the set of The Abyss, and we all felt like, boy, we're in the right place at the right time. Ed's going to tell the story, and that was kind of like how you feel when you're watching Robert Shaw tell that story. It's like this is an intimate gathering with a kind of a story that you would never ask somebody. What was it like on the Indianapolis? Out in public. It's never it's gonna come up in a very finite set of circumstances where it's completely appropriate for three guys to get together and say, "Hey, not for nothing, I almost got eaten by a freaking shark." Here's how it went. That's drama. That's a wonderful aspect of theater, irrespective of scenes where you're watching action. This is like a retelling of an experience that has, a commensurate effect.
It is one of the. I think Richard Dreyfuss described it as a showstopper, and it really was. And when I first saw the movie, I was 5, maybe 6 years old, so it probably didn't really hit me until a few years into my teens when I actually realized, the real meaning and the gravitas of the story. But I think the other thing as well that the Indianapolis speech makes Jaws, it makes it one of the most rewatchable movies, because when you watch Jaws maybe for the first time and you're a little bit older and you take in this amazing speech, you go back and watch Jaws again and you watch Quint from the very beginning in a completely different light, because who he's presenting himself to be is not really who he is underneath. He's a guy that's clearly carrying this trauma, this PTSD, this survivor's guilt, maybe all of these things. And you just watch that performance again, and it's just so thorough and rewatchable. But obviously, again, this is what I love about and I think this is what kind of elevates the classics to the classic status. The movies are rewatchable, but you can see new things in any sort of almost any aspect of those types of films. And with Quint specifically, you see so much. And within the direction of George, you see so much. With Brody's character arc, you see so much. I mean, for me, I love all of the characters. It's almost like choosing between my own children if I had any. You know, I couldn't choose a favorite. But the character arc of Brody for me is really interesting because he knows what the right thing is to do at the beginning of the movie. Close the beaches, kill someone, hire someone to kill the shark. But he's talked out of it. And he goes against his own judgment, his instincts and his morals and everything else. That little voice inside his mind telling him this is the right thing to do. He goes against that. And it's about the redemption of that moment, I think, that actually means that he ends up killing the shark. Whether he got the $10,000 or not, we'll never know. But ultimately, for me, it's about trying to figure out, do you have what it takes when the moment comes to do the right thing? Brody deferred that decision in Jaws, but he made up for it in the end. And I think that's ultimately, for me, I think what the meaning of Jaws is, it's about us as people. If we trust in ourselves and our instincts and we do the right thing at the right time, ultimately we can be who we are and you know, maybe make the world a better place, or to sort of cram it down into one line within Jaws, which is one man can make a difference. You know, I believe we all can. And I think Jaws is a great example of trying to do that.
That's a very good point. I hadn't thought about that, but that moral thread that runs through it with it's like a thread that's made up of three cables of those three characters, and each of them has their own reason for being there, their own reason for pursuing it. But they're each of them pursuing something that is, in the end of the day, a moral kind of answer. I mean, that's a freight train, man.
It really is. It's not about a fish, or maybe it is. I don't know. But Jaws is just one of those movies that keeps on giving, depending on sort of what you're bringing to it when you're watching it. And obviously, you know, this amazing cast. You know, they were competing against some of the great actors of the day. So maybe, Jim, we could go through a few of the actors who may have been auditioning for Jaws.
Yeah, sure.
So
I could do the opening speech, Quint's opening speech, maybe.
Hey, that sounds good to me. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think I'd like to hear maybe what Liam Neeson might have sounded like doing the opening speech. What if he was auditioning for the role?
You all know me. Know how I earn a living. I'll catch this bird for you, but it ain't gonna be easy. Bad fish.
But sadly, Liam Neeson has been interrupted by Christopher Walken, who's also auditioning for a role.
Not like going down to the pond, chasing bluegills or Tommy cod. This shark, swallow you whole, shaking, tenderizing. Down you go.
Oh, well, thank you, Chris. And just when you think it couldn't get any busier in the Jaws casting office, Robin Williams walks in.
Oh, now we got to do it quick. That'll bring back the tourists and put all your businesses on a paying basis. But, it's not going to be pleasant. Not at all.
And now Robin Williams is interrupted by the one and only Mr. Tommy Lee Jones.
I value my neck a lot more than $3,000, Chief. I'll find him for $3, but I'll catch him and kill him for 10.
Now, someone that is close to the Spielberg and Lucas family, star of Star Wars, is auditioning for a role in Jaws. Mr. Harrison Ford, please tell us, how would you play the role?
You got to make up your minds. Got to stay alive and ante up. Or do you want to play it cheap? Be on welfare the whole winter.
But there's news of a Jaws remake for the 50th anniversary, and Matthew McConaughey is auditioning for a role.
I don't want no volunteers. I don't want no mates, okay? There's too many captains on this island. $10,000 for me, all by myself.
And there's one more actor who's throwing his hat into the ring, Mr. John Malkovich.
For that, you get the head, the tail, the whole damn thing.
Thank you, guys. We'll get back to you. We'll let you know. That's brilliant. That's so good. So good. Um,
Thank
Jim, in terms of the movie itself, who is or what is the villain in Jaws? Or does Jaws even have a villain?
That's a good question. Speaking of Apollo 13, that was a movie that did not have a villain. The villain was the physical universe, distance, and the vacuum of space. But in Jaws, yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to not have a little bit of empathy for the shark because the shark is a natural creature. It's trying to survive. However, this particular shark, the what shall we say, the destructive impulse, the murderous, bloodthirsty impulse of Quint is definitely counterbalanced by the shark, and so they are this kind of nexus of those desires, and we can understand the reasons for them in each. Often with movies, it's some psychotic killer or figure who is reaping a lot of chaos. And part of what makes it so horrible is that we can't figure out, why is this person so demonic, so possessed, so suppressive. With a shark, you go, and they even mention it. The Hooper character says this is 3,000 years of breeding or whatever, or longer. It's obviously longer than that, 3 million years maybe. But anyway, so we understand the villain, but it's really more an antagonist, and there are two antagonists, and in Quint and the shark, and a lot of ancillary characters who are trying to survive. But you can't. I don't think villain is really the right label, because unless we're taking a very kind of loose term, because we understand it.
It's a really, this is why I love having that conversation, because it's very difficult to because this is the other thing that makes Jaws very unique. There isn't really a clear villain. Some people say it is the shark, but then actually the shark is just the shark. It's just being what it is. There's no malice or until you get to Jaws: The Revenge, obviously. There's no malice there. It's not deliberately trying to target anyone particularly. It's just, found a territory that seems to have a lot of food for it. Great. Some people say it's the mayor. Some people say it's the townspeople. Some people even actually argued that Brody might be the villain and he's trying to redeem himself because he kneu what the right thing to do was at the beginning of the movie and he went against it. That's a bit of a crazy theory. But it's just like there are just so many ways to look at it. And then you also say, well, what genre is Jaws? It's like, I don't know. I mean, it could be an adventure story, a horror story, a chiller story. It could be a political comment or satire. It's even been used as a metaphor for Watergate and Vietnam. It's just like, there is so much that appears to be being able to be read into this movie, and apparently it's just a story about a hungry fish that wants something to eat. It's crazy. I mean, this is why I love having these conversations. I've got a couple of controversial questions for you now, Jim, if that's all right. So, the first question: did they need a bigger boat?
Not for this story. I mean, yeah, for the hunting the thing, yeah, they needed a freaking Coast Guard cruiser with a cannon in it. They desperately needed that. But for the story, for the narrative, no. They needed a leaky, down on its luck, overused, just at the end of its expiration date vessel that was gonna not survive the fish jumping on the back of the stern. That's what they needed, and that's what they got. And oh boy, they really pulled it off.
Great answer. Out of the victims from Jaws, so Chrissy, Alex, Pipit the dog, Ben Gardner, the estuary victim, and Quint, if you can only save one, who would you save and why?
Oh, well, the girl at the beginning, maybe she loses her leg, and then she comes on shore and goes, help, help. And we see her in a hospital bed. She's like, he was horrible. He grabbed my leg,
Now, this question I love. How is Mayor Vaughn still the mayor in Jaws 2, considering everything that he did in Jaws 1? Explain this to me, Jim, please.
Career politicians, they're a slippery bunch. They find it's like in Jurassic Park. Life finds a way. Yes.
Okay,
I mean,
final.
that was it. Murray Hamilton. The Murray Hamilton character was also a character that my friend and I used to imitate when we were in biology class together. He'd go,
Martin, my kid was on that beach too.
That wouldn't surprise me if that was his campaign slogan for his re-election. My kids
"My
were on
kid
that
was
beach
on that
too.
beach too." He was perfectly cast. That guy, perfectly cast. Yeah, how did he get to be a mayor in the second movie? Unbelievable. But that's very true to politics.
It is. It is.
You can be caught in bed with, a couple of prostitutes, and there's a bleeding body in your car, and you've got wads of money sticking out of your sport jacket, and somehow you figure out a way to go, I know how this looks.
But my kids were on that beach too.
My kids were on that beach too. All right.
All right,
for
you can come
him.
back.
Never mind the hookers.
Final controversial question, and then we'll wrap up. Now, this one has been known to cause people a lot of discomfort. Is Jaws Steven Spielberg's best movie?
Well, it's his best movie of a certain genre. Of course, he's had a long career. I mean, I wouldn't put it up against Schindler's List, which is a great movie about mankind, which also includes monsters, but of a very different sort. Of that genre, which he has tackled from time to time, and of course he's invented kind of or revivified other genres like in the action adventure mode. The sort of corny pulp fiction-y action of Indiana Jones and those that series, but and then his historical ones, which are not action adventure but contain all those aspects. I think for that kind of summer blockbuster movie, which he's, like we could list them. I mean, he's done them.
Yeah,
that is the best. That I'd say hands down is the best.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think there's two different Spielbergs that we've been very lucky to have, as you say, the popcorn and the auteur, the historian almost. So very lucky to have him pick up a camera and not put it down.
100%. Yeah, so Ron Howard is a similar kind of guy, but Ron Howard tackles all different kinds of genres and does them all very, very capably. It's like, I don't know, it would be like a great writer who suddenly pens a sonnet, and that's, you don't compare that to their larger literary works or their historical nonfiction. They're just different communications.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Jim, I've got one final question for you before we disembark this voyage. As we said at the beginning, it's 50 years since Jaws came out, and there's not many movies where we are still talking about them 50 years later. What is the legacy of Jaws? Why are we still talking about it 50 years later?
Well, I've tried to evoke the character Quint just a little bit for you. This is a movie where people all gathered together all over the country, all over the world, in a darkened auditorium, watched and had a thrill together, spoke about it, broke bread over it, and allowed it to infect their nightmares and their imagination. There's not a lot of movies that do that, eh, Chiefy?
Yeah, I think it was a unique time, unique period, and one that we really may never have the opportunity to see again, where so many of us gathered in a sort of a non-religious temple and had an experience together that was very much based on not so much your background, not so much the country you came from, your politics, your religion, anything like that. It was like, we are delicate bodies. We have these delicate bodies, and if we're met by something with big teeth that still exists in the modern world, unlike dinosaurs, then what's that like? And let's experience that without all the pain and dismemberment.
Yeah, we'll just sit back and watch it from the comfort of a screen.
Exactly.
Oh, Jim,
unless there's a little girl pinching your arm ferociously while you watch it out of terror.
It just goes to show that Jaws is that ultimate roller coaster ride, and other people have sort of called it a campfire story as well, that's sort of passed down through the generations. So again, like Spielberg himself, we are very, very lucky to have Jaws and to be able to experience it again and again and again. Jim, thank you so much for taking some time out to join us to talk about Jaws for the 50th anniversary. Guys, I've been Ross, speaking with Jim Meskimen for the 50th anniversary of Jaws. Lots more interviews to come, but until next time, I'll always drink to your legs, and I'll bid you a fond farewell and adieu. That's it for today's deep dive into Jaws, the film that turned beaches into no-swim zones and created the summer blockbuster. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to follow, rate and review. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, just when you thought it was safe to stop listening, there's plenty more episodes to come. Please be sure to check out the work of Minorities in Shark Sciences and also the Tourette's Association of America. That's it for now, guys, but I'll catch you next time. I'll drink to your legs.